Hello my dirty little dumplings and welcome back to Brian Abroad. Recently I got the opportunity to fly back to America and check out Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios in Orlando. This was kind of like a bucket list item for me. As a kid growing up in the 90s, I would see the commercials on TV for Halloween Horror Nights year after year, and I just thought it looked like the coolest place ever. But I never actually thought I'd get there because we definitely weren't the kind of family that was taking like yearly Disney trips. I barely ever even left the state I grew up in as a child, and I think the first time I ever stepped toe into an Orlando amusement park, I was definitely like a 25-year-old man. And then I moved to China. But there are these two holidays in China. One always happens the first week of October. One follows the lunar calendar, so it moves around a little bit. It just so happens that this year, those two holidays touched each other, so I ended up with like 9 whole days off, and I decided, let's go back to America and do Halloween Horror Nights. Now, I didn't actually film an intro to this video while I was there, which is why I'm doing this part here now in my apartment. We kind of messed up a little bit. So we had day passes for the park, and if you're planning to do the Stay and Scream, you need to be back in the main area, the older park, before 5 o'clock. And it was like 4:50, and we were definitely still in Jurassic Park and Islands of Adventure. And the Hogwarts Express had like an hour-long wait. So we literally had to run all the way from Jurassic Park up to the main entrance of Islands of Adventure, run halfway down the city walk, and then into the main entrance of the park before 5 o'clock. So I didn't really have time to film an intro unless you wanted to see me like, hello, I'm running. And I just didn't have it in me at that time. So this footage is gonna pick up from the New York area for Stay and Scream. And then at the end of this video, I'm gonna come back and just give you some of my overall thoughts about Halloween Horror Nights. So roll that beautiful bean footage. Right now we're walking through New York for the Stay and Scream for Stranger Things. All the set pieces are out, the fog is going. It's kind of weird to see everything in broad daylight. We're gonna have to swing back through later and see what it looks like at night. But I'm really excited to see how they turn Stranger Things 4 into a haunted house. Okay, even with doing Stay and Scream, it's a 100-minute wait. So we decided to use our Express Pass after all. And like, this line is out of control. If you don't have Express Pass, I just don't understand. You're gonna end up seeing like 3 houses, and I'm from China. I don't have that time. Okay, so what do we think of Stranger Things, especially you? Why not?
I cannot speak.
Why? What were you too busy doing in there?
You know, I scared a lot. I was screaming a lot.
There was one part where you screamed so loud that you actually scared the actor that was supposed to be scaring you. I saw, like, she jumped out and you were like, ah! And she went, she was more afraid of you.
Yay!
Stranger Things was awesome. It's kind of embarrassing. Like, I got scared in there a couple times because things just come out like unexpectedly. And then you realize that you're getting scared by like children. It's just like Dustin jump out and scare you. And then you're like, oh man, I just got scared by like a normal person. But it was so awesome. I think we're gonna try to head to The Last of Us, which is a little bit out of the way, but it's gonna have the longest wait, so it might be better to do that one next. White people really like this song. Case in point. Change of plans. We're actually gonna go through Dueling Dragons, Choose Thy Fate, because it's only a 10-minute wait with standby. So we're not even gonna use the Express Pass. Maybe we'll get to use it again later if we really like it. So we just did Dueling Dragons. Yes. The storyline was like a little bit difficult for me to hear in the beginning, but there's like a curse on a wizard, yes, and you're trying to like help turn him back or something like that, right?
The 2 dragons are seeking out his spell book.
Okay.
And they're fighting with each other to get it, because I think one is like for the evil forces and one's for the wizard.
Okay. So at the end, of course, you get to choose thy fate, and you can choose fire or ice. We all chose ice. It was very short after that. I thought it was gonna like continue on a little bit longer. I think the only thing that we saw is we had the wizard who came out, and I think maybe he like thanked us, but it still scared my friend anyway. What happens when you choose the fire one?
So there was a bunch of fiery actors and smoke and fire effects, and you see another copy of the book that's all lit up red. And yeah, it was pretty short.
Does that mean that like you failed it? Is that why it's like burning? Like
no, it's like the fire dragon one.
Okay, but if I... Okay, but we saw the wizard, so that means he turned back, right?
I guess.
Okay, so maybe that's like the better ending. I heard there's multiple endings, but we each got something different. Overall, it was okay. It felt a little bit like there could have been more actors in there, but overall, it was still a lot of fun. All right, we're about to head into Yeti Campground Kills.
I feel so tired right now. Maybe it's because I scream too much and I'm short of the oxygen in my brain.
We just finished Yeti Campground Kills, and now we are walking through the Vamp 69 scare zone. And there's finally scare actors out here, which is really cool. I literally couldn't see anything.
Does this look bad?
You might want to see a doctor. So we're taking a quick little break here with some Electric Death. I want to call it Electric Mayhem. I think that's the band from the Muppets.
Yeah, it is delightful. I would like 20 of them. And then I'm gonna get the drunk diabetes.
This is like my first real drink in a long time, so
Oh shit,
you might have to carry me through the rest of the houses.
cups light up.
I didn't really talk about Yeti Campground Kills
It was
at
so
all.
fun.
It was fun.
It was so fun. There was like an arm from above that almost like grabbed your hat off your head.
Yeah, there's a dangling arm. I will say that I heard that it was like a little bit funny to some people. Like it's campy, it's over the top. It definitely is, especially like the Yeti costumes. They're kind of extra. I really love the scenery, and I will say that they're pumping in smell, so it smells like you're like walking around in the woods. Like the environment was there 100%. This is something that I also feel kind of strongly about. So like at Disney, they're all about like protecting the magic. You never really get to see like the behind the scenes aspect of it. But here, sometimes I feel like you almost see like too much of it, because they do the cast change of the haunt right in front of you. And like one of the monsters walked by us and he was holding his like thermos full of water. And it just kind of like took me out of it a little
Someone
bit.
do this.
Really?
It's quite cute, but actually it's like not that scary anymore.
Yeah, like it kind of takes you out. I mean, like we do this ourselves, so I know obviously it's a guy in a costume. It's not, you know, there's no real Yeti in there. But it takes you out when you see them walk by and you can really tell that they're just normal people. In some way, I wish that you didn't see so much of that here. There's something going on at the fruit exchange, apparently. Guys, I think we just walked into the Megan horde. Hi, Megans. You guys, we just got a accidental front row seat to the Megan show. We happened to be walking by and we saw them run out with these like wands to move everybody out of the way. And I was like, is it Megan? And the worker was like, well, maybe. And so I just stood there with my camera and I was like literally front and center for the whole show. It was so awesome. And then we got to take a picture with Megan. I'll show you that now. Super fun, really like high energy, really fun. I think we're gonna go to Chucky now because it's right where we are. So I'll let you know how it is. Alana, where are you? So we just came out of Chucky Ultimate Kill Count, okay? I'm not gonna hold off on my review, all right?
Mid is best, mid at best.
It's bad, all right? I'm gonna be completely honest, all right? It wasn't good. There's not really a lot of actors in there. I mean, there are, but they're all puppeteering puppets, but like, They're not scary.
There was just hundreds of Chucky dolls nailed to the wall.
Lots of Chucky's nailed to the wall. Lots of stuff that didn't jump out for me or move or do anything. Like a lot of static gore. I don't know, like I feel like what makes Chucky scary, he's not scary, but what makes him scary is that like he's little and he can creep around and pop out of things and like maybe he's right there and you don't even notice it. But here it's just like a bunch of grown men behind a wall with a puppet. It just wasn't good. So
we were playing a video the whole time too, and basically every room recreated that video piece for piece. The video was just chopped up pieces of the different movies.
I don't watch the show, but even if I did, I just feel like it's not really a success. But whatever, it's still fun. I don't get to do this kind of thing often, but that definitely was like the weakest one that we've done so far.
The others have been great so far, so if we have one dud, I won't complain.
Yeah, no big deal, but it wasn't great. So we are about to head through Shipyard 32 on our way to our next batch of haunted houses.
Yeah, I haven't met characters like I know, people keep creeping because I'm not paying attention.
Shipyard 32 is really cool. Like during the day, a lot of the decorations just kind of look like they belong there anyway because it's like the sea is there, but the monster costumes look great and the actors are a lot scarier than in Vamp 69. So in the daytime it doesn't look like much, but at night it's a much better scare zone. All right, so here we are. We're doing Oddfellows Dark Origins next. This is the first one that we've done where it feels like you're walking into a haunt and not just a giant warehouse. Alright, we're here at the Darkest Deal. And we finished Oddfellow, and we finished The Darkest Deal. How do we feel about that?
I liked Oddfellow. There was so much stuff crammed in. There was so much stuff on the walls, so much cool like antique clown stuff. A lot of actors. It was weirdly violent, which is great.
Violence is good.
Well, I mean, like Chucky was.
Oh God, don't talk about it.
The entrance was fun, but then once you got in there, it was very disappointing. This one was good. And then The Darkest Deal, I don't necessarily understand the plot. You're like in a Louisiana bayou, and they jazz you to hell.
So earlier when we were walking through the Vamp 69 like disco hippie scare zone, I heard one of you guys be like, I don't understand like what this has to do with Halloween basically. So I'm kind of curious to see like, do you feel like you understand the storyline of what was happening? Obviously Alana says no.
Well, there was like one point where the guy was like turning into a werewolf or a monster. So I don't know if that was the deal or if he was like selling his soul to the devil maybe.
Okay, yes, he was selling his soul to the devil. Do you know why he was selling his soul?
So he could be the best trumpeter in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's based on a real musician who like got really, really good very, very suddenly, and so like the rumor came up that he had sold his soul to the devil.
And there was a lot of like creepy crypt stuff, so I figured it was like ghostly.
That's like when you go to hell, I think.
Yeah.
Like when everything got smoky and red, it was like, oh, you're in hell now.
And all of the graves had like little musical instruments on them, so it's like the hall of musicians that sold their souls or something.
What do you think is better, Oddfellow or The Darkest Deal?
Oddfellow. Is that the clown one?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just the whole, like, the musical one felt a little random. But
Yeah.
the other one, like, really lines up with what people are scared of.
The Oddfellow one was like non-stop eye candy. There was just so much going on. And it was the first one that we walked through that felt like, okay, you're walking into a haunted house and not just some like giant warehouse somewhere. There was just so much stuff going on everywhere. There was like performers on the stage and Oddfellow was there and there was lots of like blood and guts and gore and people smashing other people's heads with like mallets and all kinds of stuff.
Outside was a circus tent.
Yeah, The Darkest Deal, if you're not someone who knows knows a lot about what's going on. I'm not quite sure if the story makes sense. Like, he sold his soul to the devil for musical ability, but then he's like performing music to dead people in a chair. Like, how does that affect other people? I don't really understand. I'm not sure that like it translates really well to the average guest. We're gonna go and head into The Last of Us since it's right here, and then we'll give you our review of that one. This is cool. They have like clips from the old Universal monsters playing on the facade out here. Apparently I didn't actually ask anybody what they thought about this haunt. Things got a little bit messy after this because we had been going since like 4 o'clock in the morning the day before when we had to fly to the airport to go to Orlando and do Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And my friends were exhausted and we were all hungry. So first we decided to get some food, and then after that, 3 out of the 5 of us went back to the hotel to go to sleep. The haunt was great. The scenery, as usual for all of the haunts, was amazing. There's this part where you're like underground in like a parking garage or something, and there's like actual cars down there. They had all these like bloated looking zombies and the costumes looked really, really awesome. As someone who hasn't played the game and has never watched the show, I mean, I was totally immersed in the world and I thought it was fantastic. So after this, we decided to get some food and check out the rest of the haunts. All right, we're about to walk through the Jungle of Doom, which is not an Indiana Jones movie, believe it or not.
Here is where my search for power and immortality begins. My search for the force of this jungle. Finally, my search is over. I feel the power of the glowing skull of souls surging through my veins and giving me what I so crave. Immortality!
Ooh, shiny. Alright, we have our peanut butter burger. Kind of excited to try this, even though it's probably not that great for my body. I put 1 piece of bacon in my mouth and I'm already like on fire. Alright, let me take a bite of the actual burger. I just stuck my thumb in like a giant pile of jelly. Okay. It tastes like a spicy jelly donut that someone put a burger inside of, which isn't bad. The only thing though is that I just ate like half of it and I still don't really taste any peanut flavor from the peanut sauce that's supposed to be on it. When your poop is red tonight, you don't have to go to the hospital. It's really good. The burger was pretty good. I would actually recommend it. I kind of like inhaled it, so obviously it must have been pretty good. As my friends and I were eating, we were kind of talking about like the overall storyline of this event and how, you know, most of the haunts are connected to Dr. Oddfellow. Most of my friends had like no idea, and like I've been asking them after each of the houses, like, can you tell what the storyline is here? And they were like, no. I feel like this year is the year for people who are like die-hard Universal people, which I'm not one of because I don't even live in the country. But like most people aren't even picking up on it. So I don't know. I feel like the storyline that they set up is like almost inaccessible to the normal average customer. We're here with the walking taco. So it's Fritos with beef and beans and cheese and all this goodness
stuffed in a bag that you can walk around the park with.
The walking taco was really good. It was definitely very like Frito heavy, and I didn't ask for the queso sauce because I was afraid of like what it might do to me. But it was really good. I finished the whole entire thing. I also got a Feliz Muerte drink from the same booth that sells the walking taco, and that was also basically just as good as the Electric Death, which I still want to keep calling the Electric Mayhem. We're gonna finish the last couple houses. It's kind of late. It's like 11:30 right now. So we have 3 more houses to go, and I think that Universal Monsters Unleashed is the next one on our list. Wait, it's called Monsters Unmasked or Unleashed? Oh, sorry. I definitely called it Monsters Unleashed, but it's Monsters Unmasked.
Wow, it's only a 25-minute wait for this without Express Pass.
All right, so we just finished Monsters Unmasked. Set design-wise, amazing. And I will spoil a little bit. If you don't want to be spoiled, just go away. But there is like this really cool bungee scare where the actor is above you and he's kind of like suspended from air. And that was probably like the coolest thing for me, just visually.
There's a lot of actors that you can kind of tell what nooks and crannies they would be behind, but they'd be multiple, so you get the distraction scare, which is always fun. And they do come up nice and close, so you can really like appreciate the outfits they're wearing. I did like that part where the lady was kind of on the table, half prop and half her body getting eaten.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best executed, but I really liked it.
We're gonna go ahead and go through the Dark Zodiac scare zone now and do the last 2 houses, which are Exorcist Believer and Blood Moon Dark Offerings. I was just given directions to my Zodiac sign by a very kind monster, so thank you. And now I'm about to be murdered by someone with a chainsaw. We have a friend. Bye.
Oh, right here, Brian.
I couldn't tell if she worked here or if she was a guest. Oh, Dr. Oddfellow is here. I guess the Dark Zodiac scare zone exits right into the Dr. Oddfellow scare zone. So we got to just hang out with Dr. Oddfellow, which was really cool. And now we're gonna head to Blood Moon Dark Offerings. All right, we just finished Blood Moon Dark Offerings. Set-wise, other than like Stranger Things, which I think has been my top house, I think set design-wise, it was probably like the coolest. Like it's like a puritanical Salem village with like old wooden houses and barns. And there's just this like thing at the end, this like monstrosity of sacrifice. And it just looks so amazing. And it's gory and brutal and like over the top, and it's wonderful.
It was what I really picture like a haunted house to be. There was gore, there was intestines strung about. It was all about like pagan sacrifice, so there was all kinds of weird effigies and corrupted Christian symbols and just mutilated corpses. The actual acting was great. I actually got startled once, which was really good for me.
I didn't get scared at all, but it was just like eye candy galore. And there's like a whole church scene in there too, and it just looked like really, really awesome.
Every room was like, okay, it's like a candle maker shop, and then the person's been mutilated with candles. There was a cobbler, and it was shoe stuff. It had a theme like you were in a real village, going through all the parts that would make an actual village and seeing how it all got sacrificed and corrupted.
How it
and
all
destroyed.
went wrong.
Yeah.
And speaking of things going wrong, it's time to go see The Exorcist Believer.
The body and the blood! The body and the blood! The body and the blood!
All right, so we just finished Exorcist Believer. It was a shitty haunt. If you know, you know. I think the problem that's happening is that like after 10 of these houses, it all starts to feel very like formulaic. So you're like, all right, I know like there's this opening, there's this boo hole, there's this sound clip. And because it's just like a non-stop conga line the whole time, really the element of surprise is taken out of it, which is like the whole point of a haunt. So eye candy wise, it's incredible. You're not gonna be able to beat the sets. But overall, I feel like it leaves a little bit to be desired. We are headed into the tribute store. So some final thoughts about Halloween Horror Nights. Now, I'm no stranger to upsetting people with my opinions on these kinds of things. When I went to Universal Studios Beijing for the first time and I made a comment about how I thought it was weird that they chose Waterworld for Universal Beijing, solely because I don't know any Chinese people who even know that this movie exists. All the Waterworld fans like came out of the ocean to be like, what are you talking about? This is the best show, this is the best movie. Like, it literally had nothing to do with that. From a popularity standpoint only, I thought it was a little bit strange. I mean, of course it's great, but Halloween Horror Nights, I do think that it's a tad overrated, and I'm gonna tell you why, okay? So I'm a haunted house actor. I haven't done it in a couple years because I'm always in China during the month of October, but for, gosh, how many, like 15, 16 years, I was working at some of the best haunts in New England. I was a walk-around character, so I wasn't really like confined to one house, and I was doing the most. I would follow people into the park, out of the park. People would like let me into their cars and I would go in their cars and scare their friends who were like afraid of me. We had full range, and even in the haunted houses, like, you produce your own sounds, you produce your own dialogue. If someone is really scared of you, you have the authority to kind of like walk around and follow them maybe into the next scare. At Universal Studios, I know that you're dealing with IPs and branding, and so maybe, you know, you don't want to risk an actor saying something that would be off-brand or inappropriate or that doesn't match the universe that's been created by the IP. So, you know, they're pushing a button, a sound effect is going off, they're doing their little pop out for like 2 seconds, and then they go back. And I don't know, I think that how limited the scares are, it kind of interferes with the overall like horror aspect because everything is just so minimal. The sets, of course, are amazing, but the way that the sets are constructed, after like the first or second haunt, you can kind of tell that it's like very formulaic, and you know, like, okay, there's this little nook over here, there's gonna be someone here, and there's also a good chance that there's someone over here, because they love to do this like 2-for-1 special. And so rather than like walking through and looking at the scenery, I think like halfway through the trip I started looking around playing like find the actor. I didn't want to do, I just couldn't help it. I just got in the habit of kind of being like, oh, I bet there's someone there, and oh, that would be a good hiding spot, and then the actor jumps out and I was like, oh, okay, I was right. And like the cast changes that they do like right in front of you, it also just kind of took me out. Like that one part when all the people for Oddfellow walked by with their like Grim Reaper robes and their water bottles and stuff. I don't know, like to me that is just not the way to run a professional haunt. We always have this thing here, like don't break character. Don't break character, don't let people see you on your phone or smoking a cigarette or whatever it is you're doing. Everything that we had to do was always in like a very private area. We didn't do cast changes, like someone in the haunt would give you a break and cover that spot, and then when you came back, like the next person would go. I know that's like not a glamorous way because you're working a lot, but I mean that's the reality of most haunted houses. And at one point I was filming with my GoPro, and I guess I had the light on, but I didn't even realize it. And one of the actors was like walking by being a scary actor, and he was like, no flash! No flash! And I don't know, like it just felt weird. Like, aren't you dead? Aren't you like a zombie or something? Also, the storyline this year, like I think it would have been better if I went during a year where they had like, you know, a Halloween house and some heavy hitter horror franchise that I'm actually like a little bit more interested in, like the original Exorcist. I mean, a couple years ago they did all those things together. Like that would have been my happy place for sure. I love Halloween, the franchise. But this year, the way that everything kind of tied into Dr. Oddfellow, like this was my very first year going. I had never heard of Dr. Oddfellow before. I watched a lot of videos. I read a lot of like blogs and fan forums. I listened to the Universal podcast that they released to figure out like how everything was connected. And I work for haunted houses, so I understand like storylines, and I know sometimes they can be like a little bit convoluted, but you just kind of have to go with it. But I do feel like the whole like Dr. Oddfellow thing is very convoluted. I kept checking in with my friends throughout the night, like, did you get this? And they're like, no. And like, my friends are pretty smart people, so I don't want to make it seem like they just didn't get it. I'm sure a lot of people have no idea what's going on. Like, unless you're a die-hard Universal fan, would you understand what was going on as you're walking through a scene with hippie vampires? Did you have any idea that that's somehow connected to the Oddfellow circus haunted house? Probably not. The Dark Zodiac? Like, how does one access the Dark Zodiac? Is it like going on the dark web? And like, what power does it give you? Also, like, he's a vampire, but he's not a vampire? Help me. In some respects, yes, I do think it's a little bit watered down. I do think it's a little bit overrated, especially like the amount of tickets that they sell for this event. Like, as we're blowing past people in the express line, I'm just looking at these massive queues of people who are waiting 1 hour, 2 hours to get into a haunted house. Like, what did you even see that night? Like 3 houses? If I didn't have the express pass, like this would not have been a fun time. It would have been very stressful, and I know that not everyone like has the means to afford an express pass, and I know that of course Universal wants to make lots and lots of money, but with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, it's the same thing. Like, there's just too many tickets being sold, and that really kind of like hinders the experience, I think. I don't want to make it seem like I'm like totally shitting on this event though. Like, it's really cool. With the express pass, I had a great time. I did all 10 houses. I got to eat a bunch of food and have drinks. We did not get to do the Nightmare Fuel show. We just didn't really have time to squeeze it in with everything that we were trying to do. But even still, like, it was a super great time. We got to see the Megan Horde, and like, you guys, I love Halloween so much. I don't know if that can be like expressed in words, how much I truly love Halloween. So just being there and being in that environment with the lights and the fog and the sound effects and the music and getting to do 10 different haunted houses in one night, like, that is my happy place, even if it wasn't the scariest thing on earth. I'm not saying that it was terrible or that I would never go back. I'd go back in a heartbeat. but I'm really grateful that I had this one experience. If I don't get to go again for a couple years, I'll be totally okay with that because, you know, I did it, I got it out of my system, and I do think that once is enough for now. Anyway, if you like this video and you'd like to see more videos like this one here on my channel, please remember to click that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell so that you get notified when I upload a new video here on my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.